The will reading for the late Mrs. Dorothy Haviland began in a solemn conference room. The family had gathered to honor a beloved grandmother. But before the attorney could finish the opening lines, the heavy door burst open.
Stop right there. This can't go forward without me.
The woman was in her mid-40s, clutching a manila envelope. Behind her, an attorney in a pinstripe suit followed. She strode to the table and slapped down a notarized DNA test.
I am Brenda Murray. Dorothy Haviland was my grandmother too. That DNA proof says I am entitled to a third of this estate.
Mrs. Murray has the legal documentation proving her claim. I am Harold Penner, her counsel. We expect the estate to be divided accordingly.
The attorney for the estate, Alan Mitchell, adjusted his glasses, struggling to maintain order. Across the table, Samantha Haviland, the granddaughter named in the will, did not flinch. Her eyes were unreadable.
18 months. Grandma had warned her.
Brenda's voice sliced through the quiet, her finger jabbing at the table.
A DNA test doesn't lie. Under probate law, a biological grandchild has standing. The will must be set aside.
You can't ignore science. I am Dorothy's flesh and blood. She would have wanted me included.
Miss Murray, I must ask you to lower your voice. This is a formal proceeding.
Formal? She's been planning to cut me out. Look at her, sitting there like a statue.
Samantha simply watched. The ghost of a smile touched her lips, so faint it might have been imaginary.
Mr. Mitchell, we are prepared to file an emergency petition, but perhaps we can resolve this now. An equal three-way division.
This is highly irregular. I am calling a 15-minute recess to review this document.
As the others shifted uncomfortably, Samantha closed her leather portfolio with a soft click, unhurried.
Brenda thought she was ambushing the reading. She had no idea the ambush had been waiting for her.
To understand Samantha's unshakable calm, you had to go back 18 months. To a sun-drenched afternoon in Dorothy's rose garden. Samantha found her grandmother on the old wooden bench, a folded letter resting in her lap.
There's something I need to tell you, dear. A woman named Brenda contacted me. She claims she's family.
Brenda, I don't know anyone by that name. What kind of family claim?
She says she's your half-sister, Paul's daughter. She sent DNA test results to prove it.
Paul was Samantha's late uncle, who had died years before. The mention of his name brought a chill.
Uncle Paul? He never mentioned a daughter. Is this another scammer trying to get your money?
That was my first thought too, but I had the DNA results verified. She is Paul's biological daughter.
Samantha felt the ground shift beneath her. A stranger with a legal claim, and her grandmother already knew.
Grandma had already faced this. Whatever Brenda tried at the will reading, it wouldn't catch her unprepared.
Dorothy hadn't accepted Brenda's story at face value. Within a week, she had a private investigator digging into the woman's past. The PI's report was thick. On the first page, confirmation of shared DNA, but the rest painted a picture of a woman who'd contested half a dozen inheritances.
She's done this before. Every time she surfaces after a death with a DNA test and a lawyer.
The pattern was unmistakable. Brenda targeted wealthy, elderly individuals who might have heirs she could overshadow.
She's not interested in family. She's after my money. If she gets a taste, she'll come back for more.
Dorothy knew she had to be strategic. This wasn't about rejecting a grandchild. It was about protecting Samantha from a predatory lawsuit.
I won't let her destroy what I've built for my family. But how do you stop someone who thinks they're entitled?
She made a decision. She would meet Brenda, look her in the eye, and see what kind of person she really was.
Alan, it's Dorothy. I need you to prepare something for my will, a special provision.
But Dorothy didn't tell Samantha the details. She simply said, "I've handled it, trust me." And Samantha did. A week later, Dorothy sat across from Brenda at a retro diner, a cup of black coffee cooling between them.
I just want to be part of the family, you know? To have a real grandmother. And, well, an equal share would help.
Of course, dear. Family means everything to me.
Brenda's eyes revealed more than her words, a hungry calculation that flickered whenever the inheritance was mentioned.
I heard the estate is worth over $2 million, I am not greedy, but a third of that would change my life.
Dorothy smiled again, but her fingers tightened around the coffee cup. She had seen enough. That evening, Dorothy called Alan Mitchell from her study, a fresh notepad in front of her.
Alan, finalize that Schedule B, 50,000 to Brenda, but only if she doesn't contest the rest. If she fights, she gets nothing.
The attorney sealed the codicil as instructed, a trap set in plain sight for anyone who'd rather grab than grieve. Dorothy never told Samantha the specifics. She simply trusted that Brenda's true nature would spring the trap all on its own. The 15-minute recess ended with the click of the latch. All four took their seats, the air still charged with static. Alan lifted a cream-colored envelope from his binder, its crimson wax seal unbroken.
Before I proceed with the main bequests, there is a sealed schedule that must be read in the prescribed sequence.
A sealed schedule? Open it now. What are you hiding in there? More ways to cheat me out of what's mine.
Rules of probate, Miss Murray. Patience. It will be opened at the appropriate moment.
Appropriate moment. This is a secret deal. You are trying to cut me out under the table. I demand that envelope be opened right now.
There it is. The sealed codicil Grandma told me about. Brenda is about to learn that her greed writes its own punishment.
Mr. Mitchell, if that envelope contains a bequest for my client, you have a duty to disclose it now. We can't have secret backroom deals.
I assure you, everything in this will was drafted by Dorothy Haviland with full knowledge of Miss Murray's existence. The sequence is her final wish.
Brenda's eyes never left the envelope. To her, it wasn't a document. It was a vault she was being locked out of. Alan set the sealed schedule aside and returned to the body of the will. His voice was steady as he began the main provisions.
I, Dorothy Haviland, being of sound mind, leave my entire estate to my beloved granddaughter Samantha. All assets, accounts, and personal property.
That can't be right. I am her granddaughter, too. This document is a mistake, a fraud. She wouldn't have cut me out if she'd known.
Miss Murray, the will was executed after your DNA test results were verified. Your grandmother made this decision with full and informed knowledge.
The words landed like a judge's gavel. Every person in the room absorbed the finality of that fact.
She knew, and still left me nothing. That's cold. That's not a grandmother. That's a stranger wearing a family name.
We will contest this will. It may have been executed under undue influence, or the testator lacked capacity. Mrs. Murray has rights.
Undue influence. Grandma held more power in a single look than a courtroom full of lawyers. She knew exactly what she was doing.
I remind everyone that the will contains a no-contest clause. Any challenge, and the contesting party forfeits any bequests they might otherwise receive.
Brenda's knuckles whitened on the table. She was trapped between a will that ignored her and a clause she still didn't fully understand.
I'll fight this in court. I deserve my share, and no dusty old will is going to stand in my way.
Miss Murray, I must formally remind you, this will contains a no-contest clause. Anyone who challenges it forfeits anything they might have received.
Forfeit what? I was left out completely. What do I care about some empty clause when I'm getting nothing?
Alan paused. The silence in the room stretched, and then, almost imperceptibly, his finger tapped the sealed envelope.
Not necessarily.
What does that mean? Not necessarily what? Spit it out.
Alan said nothing more. He simply returned his attention to the main document, leaving Brenda's question hanging in the air.
The bait is dangling. And Brenda is already leaning in to take it.
A flicker of uncertainty crossed Brenda's face. For the first time, her righteous anger seemed to waver.
Shall we proceed? There is still the sealed schedule to be read at the proper time.
Enough stalling. Open that envelope right now. I won't leave until I see what's inside.
You've dangled this long enough, Mr. Mitchell. Show us the schedule, or we'll file a motion to compel.
Alan exhaled slowly and adjusted his glasses, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders.
Very well. If that is your position, I will now read Schedule B.
He lifted the envelope, and with a deliberate motion, slid his thumb under the crimson wax seal. The seal cracked with a dry snap, the sound echoing in the silent room. Brenda watched, her pupils dilating with greed, her fingers drumming on the mahogany.
The moment my grandmother prepared for. She was so sure Brenda would push this far.
The room held its breath, each soul aware that the words on those pages would change everything. Alan unfolded the document, the paper crisp and unwavering, and began to read.
To my granddaughter, Brenda Murray, I leave $50,000.
Brenda's face lit up, the crease of anger replaced by raw avarice.
See? She did love me. I knew there was something in that envelope for me.
She thinks she's won. She has no idea the knife is still waiting for her in those unfinished words.
Alan's finger remained pressed on the page, the sentence unfinished.
50,000. That's just the start. We'll still fight for the rest, but at least she admitted I am family.
No one spoke. The air was thick with a truth only two people in the room fully understood. Brenda leaned back, crossing her arms with a smirk of victory. Alan cleared his throat, his eyes still on the clause that followed the dollar amount, but he did not continue. The silence stretched, heavy with the next words he would have to speak.
Provided that she does not contest any other provision of this will. Any contest, verbal or written, voids the bequest in its entirety.
What? No, I didn't know. You can't just take it away because I said I wanted my share.
You announced your intent to challenge the will. That meets the legal standard for contest under the no contest clause you dismissed earlier.
But I didn't file anything. You can't take it back based on words. I'm not some legal expert.
The clause is clear. Your grandmother drafted it precisely for this situation. The forfeiture is automatic. I have no discretion.
You tricked me. This whole thing was a setup from the start. She set a trap in her own will.
The trap had sprung exactly as Grandma predicted. Brenda played herself with her own greed.
This is preposterous. We'll challenge the enforceability of the clause itself. This reading is a farce.
You're free to litigate, but for now, Miss Murray receives nothing under this schedule. The bequest is void.
Brenda's victory dissolved into bitter ash. She had stormed in demanding a third of $2.1 million, and now all she had was a lesson in consequences.
This is a sham. The clause is unconscionable. We'll see you in court and tear this estate apart.
Grandma told me if she just wanted family, she would have taken the 50,000. If she fights, she was never family at all.
The words cut deeper than any legal argument could. It wasn't a trap. It was a test, and Brenda had just failed it publicly.
Inspirational quotes don't hold up in probate court. We're filing a motion for tortious interference.
File whatever you wish. The record is clear, and the no contest clause has been upheld in this state for decades.
She wrote that clause knowing exactly how this would play out. Grandma was always 3 moves ahead.
Brenda's mouth opened, but no sound came. The bluster was gone, replaced by a hollow, dawning comprehension. Samantha allowed herself a small, private smile, the same one her grandmother must have worn when she sealed the envelope.
Come on, Brenda. We're leaving. This isn't over. We'll be back with a subpoena.
Brenda let herself be led away, her eyes still locked on the voided bequest that had just evaporated from her grasp.
You haven't heard the last of me. I'll drag this estate through every court in the county.
The door slammed, muffling Harold's furious objections into nothing. A profound stillness settled over the room, the air finally clear of accusation.
Her lawsuit is frivolous. Dorothy's no contest clause has survived decades of challenges. It won't fall now.
She didn't just build a will, she built a fortress that would outlast any storm.
Samantha's gaze lifted to Dorothy's portrait, her grandmother's painted eyes holding a knowing warmth.
I know, she already won. The money was never the real battle.
Alan closed the estate binder with a satisfying thud, the leather cover snapping shut like a final gavel. The portrait seemed to smile, a quiet sentinel over the room that had witnessed a trap sprung perfectly.
Everything is exactly as she wanted it to be. Now, I just have to carry her plan to its final step.
Later that afternoon, In Alan's wood-paneled office, Samantha sat with her grandmother's photo resting on the desk.
Brenda forfeited the 50,000, Alan. That money should go where Grandma would have wanted, not sitting in probate.
Legally, you have the right, but Brenda's lawsuit could tie up the estate for months. I'd advise waiting until the dust settles.
Wait? For what? So Brenda can tie up justice as well? This isn't about Brenda, it's about the women Dorothy helped.
She slid a worn brochure across the desk. Second Chance Shelter, with Dorothy's handwriting on a yellow sticky note attached.
For 22 years, she wrote checks to this shelter, quietly, without wanting a plaque or recognition. It's where the money belongs.
If you do this now, Brenda will argue you dissipated assets to avoid her claim. It could be messy.
She can say what she wants. I am not going to let a legal trick stop me from doing what's right. Grandma didn't play by Brenda's rules, and neither will I. I am writing the check today. In her name. Let her try to tear it up.
Alan leaned back, a resigned smile touching his lips. He had learned long ago not to argue with a Haviland woman. Samantha picked up her phone and dialed the number from the worn brochure, her fingers steady.
Second Chance Shelter. This is Maria. How can I help you? We've had to turn away 3 families this month alone. Funding's tighter than it's ever been.
I am sending a donation. $50,000. In memory of someone who believed in this place with all her heart.
50,000? That would keep our doors open for 6 months. Who is this?
Her name was Dorothy Haviland. She donated to you for 22 years without asking for a single thank you.
Oh, Dorothy. She sent us a check every Christmas. We never knew her last name. She just signed them Grandma D. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You don't know what this means.
Samantha closed her eyes, letting the wave of her grandmother's quiet legacy wash over her. The check would be mailed tomorrow, but the promise was already kept. The money would do exactly what Dorothy intended. 3 days later, a process server arrived at Alan Mitchell's office with a sealed legal filing. The cover sheet bore Brenda Murray's signature and a demand for an emergency injunction.
She's really doing this? She's suing me for a donation she never deserved? This isn't about the money anymore. It's about punishing me for winning.
Alan lifted the document, scanning it with a grim shake of his head.
She's asking the court to freeze the entire $2.1 million until her claim is resolved. It's a Hail Mary. We'll file a motion to dismiss. The no contest clause will bury her case before it ever sees a courtroom.
Let her sue. I am not stopping the donation. The check is already in the mail.
Outside, the courthouse loomed, but inside Samantha felt only the quiet certainty her grandmother had bequeathed her. The game had changed, but the rules Dorothy set in motion were already winning. The preliminary hearing began with the sharp rap of a gavel. In the wood-paneled courtroom, all parties faced the bench. Brenda was sworn in, her earlier confidence now fraying under the cold fluorescent lights. She wiped her palms on her skirt. The judge peered over his spectacles and read from the transcript. Miss Murray, you testified you had no knowledge of the will's contents, yet you announced your intent to challenge the bequests before the sealed schedule was even opened. The transcript is clear on this point.
But I didn't know the exact terms. I was just upset. I didn't mean to contest anything.
The will's no contest clause is unambiguous, Your Honor. Miss Murray triggered it by her own admission.
Harold Penner rose, sweat beading on his temple, but before he could speak, the judge raised a hand. Plaintiff's own testimony voids her claim. The no contest clause is enforceable. Case dismissed with prejudice. The gavel cracked. Sanctions are imposed for frivolous litigation. Plaintiff will pay all legal costs.
She tried to tear down the fortress, but Grandma had built it from stone that didn't break.
Outside the courthouse, Samantha paused on the sun-warmed steps, a familiar melody escaping her lips, her grandmother's favorite humming tune. She found a quiet bench, pulled out her checkbook, and with a deliberate hand began to write on the memo line. In careful cursive, she inscribed, "In memory of Dorothy Haviland." She sealed the envelope, pressing her thumb over the name as if bestowing a final blessing.
This is what you wanted, Grandma. Not a penny for Brenda. Everything for those who need it most.
She walked to a blue postal box on the corner, its metal skin cool under her palm. The envelope slid through the slot with a soft thump, the sound of a promise finally kept.
It's done. Out of anyone's reach now, exactly where you wanted it to be.
A warm breeze stirred, carrying the scent of roses from a nearby garden. Samantha closed her eyes. She could almost hear her grandmother's voice on the wind. Well done, my dear. Well done. At Second Chance Shelter, Maria sorted through the morning mail, her hands weary from a week of fundraisers. One envelope felt heavier. She tore it open, and a check fluttered onto the desk.
$50,000. In memory of Dorothy Haviland. It's from Samantha. She really did it.
Within hours, a local reporter picked up the story. The headline read, "Anonymous Angel Saves Women's Shelter with $50 K. Gift." Dorothy's name, not Brenda's, glowed in the column. Across town, Brenda scrolled through her tablet, coffee going cold beside her.
She gave it away? That money was supposed to be mine. Now she's made a fool of me in the papers.
The screen went black, but the image of the shelter's smiling director burned behind her eyes.
So this is how it ends. No money, no victory, just another failed hunt.
Somewhere, a grandmother's laughter seemed to ripple through the air, soft as a summer breeze. 1 month later, a fresh envelope landed on Alan's desk. The return address, Penner and Associates. Inside, Harold Penner's letter proposed a settlement. Brenda would drop all claims for $10,000.
They're grasping at straws, but it's a final offer. For 10 grand, we can be done with her forever.
Samantha glanced at the envelope, then back at Alan, her expression unreadable.
Number. I won't negotiate with her. She doesn't get a single cent of my grandmother's money.
She slid the letter, still sealed, back across the polished wood.
I'll file it, unopened, as you wish.
He tucked it into a folder marked Settlement. No reply, no further acknowledgement. Samantha never replied. The silence echoed louder than any rejection. Brenda's final attempt withered into the void, unanswered and unavenged. With the lawsuit dismissed and the settlement unanswered, the probate court closed the estate of Dorothy Haviland. A stamped final order made it official. The entire inheritance belonged to Samantha, free of any claim. A week later, a small ceremony took place at Second Chance Shelter. Maria and Samantha stood together before a covered plaque. Samantha pulled the cloth away, revealing the polished bronze beneath. It read, "In loving memory of Dorothy Haviland, who gave second chances and 22 years of quiet love."
She never wanted recognition. But this is a reminder that quiet goodness echoes forever.
It's what she deserved. To be remembered not for what she had, but for what she gave.
Samantha reached up and touched the cold metal, her forefinger tracing the engraved letters.
We did it, Grandma. The money is where you always wanted it, and so is your name.
For a moment, it felt like her grandmother's hand was resting on her shoulder. After the ceremony, Samantha excused herself and walked outside, drawn to the small garden behind the shelter. It was a simple wooden bench, identical to the one in her grandmother's rose garden. She sat down, smoothed her dress, and let the quiet settle over her.
We did it, Grandma. Everything you wanted. Everything you deserved.
A gentle breeze rustled the leaves above her, as if in answer. The garden was not grand, but it was full of life. Rose bushes, a patch of daisies, a small bird bath. Samantha closed her eyes, letting the sun warm her face. The faintest hint of her grandmother's perfume seemed to drift on the air. Without opening her eyes, she smiled, a genuine, weightless smile that held no anger, only peace. The garden held the moment, and the screen slowly faded to black.